بسم الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. We continue inshallah ta'ala with our Arabic language part of our program, Summer with Surah Al-Baqarah. In our last class, we commenced the 13th lesson. In that lesson, we covered and reviewed kana, the use of kana, especially the use of kana with the present tense verb. And we said kana, when it's used with the present tense verb, it gives you a past continuous meaning. Something was continuously happening. And if it's used in a negative context, it means that the negation also was continuous. That thing continuously was not happening. And also we covered either, which is a conditional when. When something happened, something. And this is the when for what? For the future. Right? When something will happen, then something else. Conditional, the conditional either or the conditional when. And we mentioned that the word after this either is generally present, the present tense, correct? Past tense, right? The word after the either is in the past tense form, but it gives you the present tense or the future meaning. It gives you the future meaning. Not the present, the future meaning. When something will happen. And we give some examples of this. Also, we went through innama, which is a form of emphasis, and also it gives an exclusive meaning. Innamal mu'minuna ikhwa. The believers, they are indeed nothing but brothers. The believers are indeed nothing but brothers. And this indeed nothing but, or indeed only, all of those words are indicated in the innama. Innama ad'u rabbi. I am indeed calling only upon my Lord. Indeed only upon, indeed only, or indeed none but. Where we get that meaning from innama, right? It gives you all of that meaning or implications. And we said that today, inshallah ta'ala, we're going to get into the case or the state endings in Arabic. Now, this topic is a little complicated, but it's simple, inshallah ta'ala, if we comprehend it and focus on understanding its concepts and not the names. The names, if you have a difficulty remembering it, you have to just review it. Keep reviewing the names and memorize the names in Arabic. Don't learn the English version of the names. If it's easy for you to know both, that's up to you. But you're studying Arabic language, it makes more sense to memorize the names in Arabic. But I said the main thing is understanding the concept. Excuse me. In Arabic, the endings of some words change based on their grammatical purpose in the sentence. These endings reflect the case or the state of the word, or what is known in Arabic as al-i'rab. Al-i'rab. Now, al-i'rab focuses on the last vowel of the word or the last letter of the word. Before that, that has to do with the nature or the structure of the word itself, the build of the word. And that is what is known as sarf or morphology. That we did some of it with forming the doer and so on, right? That you just know the word. But the last letter of the word and the vowel changes that occur on the last letter of the word, that is known as al-i'rab. That is known as al-i'rab. And a word can be in one of four grammatical case or state. Now you have the name of the state, and then you have the word that is in that state. What you call that word. So here we have the state of raf', the state of nasb, the state of jar, and the state of jazm. Now in Arabic, you say hal. Hala al-raf or halatu al-nasb or halat al-jar or halat al-jazm. But we want to focus, as we said, more on the concept. Right? So these are the states. The word that is in this state is called marfu'. If a word is in the state of raf, we call the word marfu'. But the state is raf. And we see the link, right? Raf, marfu'. If it's in the state of nasb, we call it mansub. If it's in the state of jar, we call it majrur. And if it is in the state of jazm, we call the word majzoom. Now the default signs for these states. Now what is meant by the state? When a word is in a specific state, it will carry a specific vowel or a specific ending. To know that this word is in this state. The default signs for these states are the Dhamma, Fatha, Kasra, and Sukun. These are the default signs. Right? The vowels. Dhamma or Dhammatain, Fatha or Fathatain, Kasra or Kasratain, or the Sukun. The Dhamma is the default sign for the state of Rafa. So in other words, when a word is marfu', we put a Dhamma on it as a default. When a word is mansub, we put a Fatha on it. When a word is majrur, we put a Kasra on it. And when a word is majzoom, we put a Sukun on it. Right? Now, Dhamma or Dhammatain, Fatha, Fathatain, Kasra or Kasratain. Depending on whether it's definite or indefinite. So for example, the word waladun. Waladun, it's a boy. Al-waladu, the boy. So if this word is marfu' and we meant a boy, we can say waladun. If it's marfu' and we meant the boy, we can say wala al-waladu. Same thing. If it is mansub and we meant the boy, we can say al-walada. If it is mansub and we meant the boy, we can say or a boy, sorry, we just said the boy, right? A boy, we can say wala dan. If it is majrur and we meant the boy, we can say al-wala di. And if it is majrur and we meant a boy, we can say wala din. Now when is it marfu? When majrur mansub? We're going to deal with that and examples with that just now. Now if you remember, when we did the types of words in Arabic, we mentioned one of these signs is a sign that this word is a noun or a verb. Who remember? Huh? No, we're talking about the nouns are words in Arabic. They're either a noun, a ism, or a fi'l, a verb, or a harf. And we mentioned some signs of the verbs and some signs of the nouns. And we mentioned that from the signs of the nouns is one of these vowels. Like how we mentioned that from the signs of the noun is alif and lam, but we mentioned one of these vowels here is a sign that the word is a noun. The tanween is not considered a vowel by itself. But the dhamma or the dhammatain, fatha, fathatain, which one? Not the dhamma. The kasra. Now, what we meant by the kasra or the kasratain is a sign that the word is a noun, meaning the verb will not take kasratain, right? A verb will not take kasratain. And so a verb also will not be majrur. So marfu' and mansub and majrur, all three, you're going to find it with the nouns. Majrur, you're going to only find it with the nouns, no verb. The verb is either going to be marfu', mansub, or majzoom. A verb will not be majrur, and a noun would not be majzoom. A verb will not be majrur, and a noun will not be majzoom. Words, now these are just the theory right now, right? We're going to get into the practical of it, and it's going to make it clearer. Now this study here, it's important not to comprehend the language, but it's important for you to be eloquent and fluent at the language and to express yourself grammatically correct. A lot of people think that this here is important to understand the language. I'm speaking practically. I'm not speaking when it comes to studying the Quran. As we said, the Quran is laid out. The vowel is laid out. The meaning is laid out. Right? But I'm speaking practically when it comes to your everyday listening, your everyday speaking, your everyday reading. Studying this will not add much to your practical comprehension of the language. Again, I'm speaking what? From a practical aspect of your everyday Arabic interaction. How? Why? Because the number one thing that's going to help you when you're listening to a speech to understand it is knowing the vocabulary in that speech. Not thinking, oh, it's majrur, the majrur means this. You're not going to understand anything. Right? But what is this going to help you practically? When you express yourself grammatically correct. When you read with the right vowels. Now, to comprehend what you're reading, the number one thing you need is the vocabulary, to understand the meaning of the words. Like I gave the example in the first class, if we say, for example, in a sentence, Akala al-fa'r al-asad, or Akala al-asad al-fa'r. If you don't know what those words mean, you're not going to understand it, whether you put all the vowels right or incorrect. But if you know Akala means ate, fa'r means rat, asad means lion, even if there is a typo, there is the wrong vowel on it, you're going to know what is meant. The lion ate the rat. You put the lion any part in the sentence, you put the rat any part in the sentence, you're going to know the lion ate the rat. Now, if you're depending on this here, and you know the doer always have to take dhamma, and that's all you know. And the person was to say, Akal al-fa'ru al-asada. Right? And then somebody asks, who ate who? You said, I don't know what's the word, but it's clear that the fa'r ate the asad. But you don't know what the word means. Right? You see how you can get the misunderstanding. Because you know the grammar for the i'rab, but you don't know the meaning of the vocabulary. So if the person makes a grammatical error or the book has a typo, you get the information wrong. So this is not needed for your everyday practical understanding of the language. What is more needed is knowing the vocabulary. And those who focus on this, they're always struggling with comprehension, right? But it's important to understand it so that you can speak properly. And speaking is its own skill. And some people, if like me, right, whether you speak in Arabic or English, you get problem all over the place. But when it comes to writing, now when it comes to the Quran, it can help you with your memorization and remembering where there are differences. There, the sum of the wordings, sometimes it has the same one has a fatha, the same one has a kasra, and the same one has a dhamma. It can help you to remember which one is when. Because the Quran is already laid out, right? It's already preserved. You don't need to apply anything to know, okay, should I put dhamma, fatha, kasra? But this is going to help you to remember which one has the fatha, which one has the dhamma, which one has the kasra. The words that do not undergo changes are considered mabni or fixed. There are certain words, no matter where you put it, how you put it, it don't change. Such as general all of the particles, the huruf. When we said words are either a ism, fi'l, or a harf. All of the harf, they are mabni. The harf would not change. Right? Like lam. Muhammadun lam ya'khudh kitaba Khalidin. Muhammad didn't take the book of Khalid. So Muhammad, here it has dhamma, so it's considered marfu. Lam, this word don't change. It's mabni. Right? Ya'khudh has a sukun, majzoom. Kitaba has a fatha, it is mansub. Khalidin has a kasra, it is majrur. And we're going to know why Muhammad is marfu, why ya'khudh majzoom, and so on. We're going to deal with that later. But this is just an example for everything that precedes. Now there are some nouns also, and there are some verbs also that are mabni. They don't change. Right? Certain nouns are, like for example, the word hadha. You say ja'a hadha, ra'aytu hadha, hadha ja'a. No matter where you put hadha, is going to remain hadha. It's not hadha u, hadha I, hadha a. It don't change. Right? And it's a noun. Apart from the default signs for these states, there are other secondary signs that reflects the state in which a word is. So we have the default signs, fatha, dhamma, kasra, sukun. And also there are secondary signs that reflect the state in which the word is. Some of these secondary signs are due to the words changing its state by letters and not by vowels. Regular words change their ending by vowels. Muhammadun, Muhammadin, Muhammadan. Kitabun, Kitaban, Kitabin. Ahmadu, Ahmada. Right? It changes with vowels. Makkata, Makkatu. Vowels. Right? Now some words, it don't change with vowels. Rather, it changes with what? Letters. Or because the word does not accept a specific vowel. For example, the word Ahmad. Ahmad, you can either say Ahmadu or Ahmada. You can't say Ahmadi. Muhammad, you can say Muhammadun, dan or din. Take all of it. Right? So the default sign for Ahmad, when it's marfu, going to be the regular default. Dhamma. Ahmadu. When Ahmad is mansub, fatha. Ahmada. Now, what happens when Ahmad is majrur? When Muhammad is majrur, we say Muhammadin. But remember, Ahmad can't take kasra. So when it's majrur, it takes fatha also. So in other words, fatha becomes a secondary sign for Ahmad when it is majrur, because it cannot take the default sign of the fatha, of the kasra. So that's the second party, because the word does not accept a specific vowel. Or because the change is by letters, like we have here. Like the dual. The dual, 2 pens, qalamani or qalamaini. How is it changed? With the alif or the ya, right? The end nothing affects the end. So remember we did qalamani, qalamaini. Now this is why. When it is marfu, we say qalamani. When it is mansub or majrur, we say qalamaini. The regular plural, masculine plural, muslimun, muslimin. How is it changed? It changes with the waw or the ya. Muslimun, muslimin, right? For mansub and majrur. So the dual and the regular plural, the mansub and the majrur is the same sign, the ya, right? For both. And the marfu is the alif for the dual and the waw for the plural, right? Digesting, right? And then you go back and read, contemplate. At the end of the program, inshallah, we were going to add about 15 more lessons, but we add about what, 8 more lessons, I think, 18. Because I was checking the days, we're not gonna finish 15 lessons, and we complete a lot. So at the end, inshallah, we're gonna try to finish like a day or two before the last day. And then we're going to review the grammar that we covered throughout the program. We're going to put all the grammar together and just review the grammar. But before that, make sure that you're reviewing also and study it on your own. There are additional types of secondary signs and related details that will not be discussed in this book. Meaning here in this chapter. As we come across some of the others, we're going to mention them, right? But these are not the only secondary signs. There are other secondary signs. Okay. Now, some practical application of the state ending. Now, this is where the benefit is. This is where the benefit is. As mentioned above, the grammatical usage of a word affects its state ending, meaning the vowel at the end or the letter at the end. Below are the state endings of common grammatical components of a sentence. Now, we have this footnote here, right? This is important. The signs are only visible when the part of speech is a single changeable word. Remember, we said the sign for marfu is what? Dhamma. Majrur is kasra. Mansub is fatha. Majzoom is sukun, right? The default sign. Or if it is dual, it's the alif, or the ya and the noon, and the waw and the noon. Now, all of these signs, you're only going to see the sign if it's a single changeable word. You got to be those two. Now, if it's not a single word, let's say it's an entire sentence. Possible? It's possible. We can leave that part for later. If it's not a changeable word, for example, the word hada, haula'i, right? Tilka, dhalika, those words don't change. So no matter which part of the sentence it comes, you're not going to see a practical sign on it. Hada is going to be hada. Haula'i going to be haula'i. That kasra there is not the sign. The word is fixed. You got to imagine the sign on it. Right? The word is in the state, but the kasra there is not the sign. Tilka. That fatha is not the sign because those words are what? Fixed. Mabni. It's not changeable. Okay. So we said here is where the benefit is. The subject and the predicate. The subject is the noun or the pronoun that the sentence is about. Right? And the predicate is the information about that subject. Now these are always marfu. The subject and the predicate. Right? It is always marfu. You gotta say they are always marfu, right? Meaning the subject and the predicate. So the subject of the sentence and the predicate of the sentence, they are always marfu. In other words, if the noun changes with vowels, it's going to take what? What is it going to take? Dhamma. And if the subject is a dual word, what's going to take? Alif. And if it's a regular masculine plural, what's going to take? Huh? Wow. So for example, we have here, an Allah wallahu muhitun bil kafirin. The subject is lafzul jalala, Allah. The word Allah. So that's why we say wallahu. Now the waw, the an, doesn't affect anything, right? It's as if it's not there when it comes to determining the grammar. The an Allah is, what is Allah? What is the predicate? The information about Allah? He is encompassing. Muhitun. So that's why we say wallahu muhitun. Clear? Of the disbelievers. Now of the disbelievers, we can deal with that later. Right? We're just focusing on these two parts of the sentence. The subject and the predicate. Here, Allah is the guardian of those who believe. Allahu, what is Allah? Here, lafzul jalala, the wording here is subject, Dhamma. Wali is the predicate. Who is Allah? He is the guardian of those who believe. Now, all of this is connected to Wali, right? But the word Wali, that's the predicate, the information, the khabar. Wali, that's why it takes Dhamma, right? And this is a lot in the Quran. Huwa Allahu. Qul huwa Allahu ahad. Now, say, He is Allah. The subject there is huwa, He. Now, huwa. Remember huwa. What's about huwa? Why we don't see any dhamma? Because it's a fixed word, right? It's a fixed word. Remember we said the sign is only going to show if it's a changeable word. Now let's an example where it's not the component of the sentence or the part of speech of the sentence is not a single word. If I say Muhammad ya'kulu at-ta'am, Muhammad is eating the food. Who is the subject? Muhammad. So I say Muhammadun. What is the information about Muhammad? He is eating the food. Now, he is eating the food is one word? No. So you can't put a dhamma over that entire thing, right? Each word gonna have its own ruling then. So we can say, he is eating the food, all of that is the information, the khabar. Right? All of that is in information, and the entire information is in the state of rough. The entire information, but you're not going to see an individual Dhamma on that information. Right? We didn't focus too much on that, or we didn't mention that, because we don't want, as we said, we want to focus on the practical part of it. Right? The practical part of it in this beginning stage. So how is this beneficial? Anytime we have a subject, we have to make sure that it is marfu. Every time we have a subject, we have to make sure it's marfu. Now, if our subject is Muslims, what are we going to say? Al-Muslimun or Al-Muslimin? Al-Muslimun. If our subject is the two students, we can say At-Taliban or At-Talibain. At-Taliban. Right? You see where the benefit is? This is where the benefit is. Now, if you didn't know what's Taliban and what's Qalaman, is it going to help you understand the sentence, the meaning? No. It's not going to help you understand the meaning, but it's going to help you to be grammatically correct, to put the right vowel in its right place. Right? Taliban, everybody knows Taliban. Right? The most famous Arabic word in the world. Correct? Yeah, which word is more famous? No, that's even more famous some places. Why I said Taliban? Right? Because people know about the Taliban and they don't know about Allah. Correct? Some people ask. The doer of a verb, al-fa'il. The doer is the noun or the pronoun that performs the verb's actions. The verb's action. And it is also always marfu'. And remember, all of these terminology, they are grammatical terminologies. They are what? Grammatical terminology. So you have to know what the word meant grammatically, according to the grammarians, not according to its linguistic meaning. Now, if I say Muhammad ate, akala, Muhammadun akala. And if I say akala Muhammad, Muhammad ate, both of it translate as Muhammad ate. Muhammad akala, akala Muhammad. Linguistically, practically speaking, who is the doer in both sentences? Muhammad. But grammatically, Muhammad is the doer in which sentence? When we say akala Muhammad. When we say Muhammad akala, Muhammad is the subject. And akala is the information about him. And when we say akala Muhammad, akala is the verb and Muhammad is the doer of the verb. Right? Remember, you have to the focus is the grammatical interpretation or the grammatical application of the word, not what the word linguistically means. Clear? You don't look clear. What the grammarians meant when they say doer, not who is the practical doer in life. That is where a lot of people get confused, especially when it comes to the doer. And we mentioned this when we did verb, right? When we did verb, we said if the verb comes before the noun, the verb is always going to be singular. When it comes after the noun, it's going to be conjugated to suit the noun in all of its form. Meaning with regards to the gender, with regards to the number, and what else? Regards the gender, regards to the number. But when it comes before the noun, you only conjugate the verb to suit the what? The gender, right? You only conjugate the verb to suit the gender. So doer, what's the doer? We should add that part in here, right? The doer is the noun or the pronoun that performs the verb's action grammatically. And put a note, it always comes after the verb. Add that note so you don't mix it up with the subject. But the subject and the doer, they are the same case. So if you mix it up, it's not going to affect you with regards to you putting the wrong vowel, because both of them is in the same case, but you're going to just not know it grammatically. So all of these examples that we place here, they're in Surah Al-Baqarah, right? So we have here, أَزَلَّهُمَا الشَّيْطَانُ عَنْهَا. Azalla means to slip. No, sorry, to cause to slip. Not you slipping, but you cause someone else to slip. What's azalla? You cause someone to slip. Huma, them, plural. Who is the them here? Adam and Eve. Right? Two of them. Who caused them to slip? Shaitan. So that's why shaitan takes what? The Dhamma. Azallahuma shaitanu anha, from it. The it is referring to Jannah. Talaqqa Adamu min rabbihi kalimat. Talaqqa means received. Who received? Adam. That's why Adam takes Dhamma. Compared to, as we will see, here, Allama Adama. Min Rabbihi, from his Lord, words. Right? We're just focusing on the one under the topic. But then you can go back and see why Rabbi takes kasra, why Kalimat takes kasra. Al-maf'ul bihi, the object of a verb. The object of a verb. The object is the word that receives the action of the verb. And it is always what? Mansub. Always mansub. Qatala Dawood Jaluta. Dawood killed Goliath. Now why Dawood takes Dhamma? Doer, fa'il. Why Jalut takes fatha? Because he is the maf'ulun, right? Al-maf'ulun bihi. Allama Adama al-asma'a. He taught Adam the names. Who is being taught? Adam. And this word, allama, right, has two maf'ulun bihi, because he taught the person you taught and that which you taught them, both of them is maf'ulun bihi. That's why you have al-asma'a. The mudaf ilay is always majrur. Remember we mentioned the mudaf ilay always takes what? Kasra. And we used to say kasra state. What is meant by kasra state? Majrur. So now we use majrur. Ulaika ashabun nar. They are the companions of the fire. Ulaika, those are ashab, companions of the fire. Yasma'una kalam Allah. They hear the speech of Allah, or they are hearing the speech of Allah. Now what's ulaika? Ulaika here is the subject, the mubtada. And the ashab is the information. Who are they? Companions of. And the fire is the mudaf ilay. So ulaik is in what state? Raf, right? Is in the state of raf. Or it is marfu. It is marfu or in the state of raf. They hear the speech of Allah. Speech here is what? Why it takes fatha? Because of this here. What is it they're hearing? The speech. So it is maf'ulun bihi. Clear so far? Majrur. The word after a preposition also is always majrur. Right? The word that is after a preposition is always majrur. What's preposition? Like in, on, under, right? In English, all of those are a preposition in English. But in Arabic, they're not all the same category. Ma lahu fil akhirati min khalaq. Where is the preposition? We have min, fi, and the lam also is a preposition. But the word after the lam is what? Mabni. It's fixed. It don't change. So you're not going to say lahi. Right? You're not going to say lahi. Ma lahu. Ma is negation, not for him. Right? He would not have. Fi in the hereafter. So al-akhirati. Why we said fil akhirati? Because of the fi. Min, any, khalaq means share, right? Any nasib, any share. He is not going to have any share in the hereafter. Why? Khalaqin, because of the min. Wallahu yad'u ila al-jannah. And Allah calls to the Jannah. Ila al-jannati. Right? Ila al-jannati. Why al-jannati? Because it came after a preposition. Now, if I was to say to the Muslims, we can say ila al-muslimun or muslimin? Ila al-muslimin. If the Muslims, if we say the speech of the Muslims, kalamul muslimun or kalamul muslimin? Kalamul muslimin. Because the mudaf ilay, the second word, the word that is after, the second word in the mudaf al-mudaf ilay construction, the of construction, possessive construction, is always what? Majrur. And Muslims is majrur with ya. Right? The speech of the two students, we can say kalamu talibani or kalamu talibaini. Right? Kalamu talibaini. As you mentioned, if any of the component sentence mabni, it will remain unchanged regardless of the grammatical state. For instance, in the sentence, hu Allah, Allah, he is Allah, the word huwa serves as the subject and is marfu. However, since huwa is mabni, its ending remains unchanged. Right? Some examples of what preceded. The two students went to school. Now here, the students is what? What is it? Doer, object, subject? The doer, right? ذهب الطالبان إلى المدرسة. The female teachers are hardworking. المعلمات مجتهدات. Why muallimatu? Subject. Mujtahidatun and not tin or tan. because it's khabar, right? The information about the subject, and it's one single word. Remember, it's a single word, not necessarily a singular word. Which one? Singular or single? Right? A single word. What is the singular word? Which one is the opposite of plural? Single or singular? Single, right? Single is opposite of plural? Singular. So we're saying it right. When we said single word, we don't mean the opposite of plural. What do we mean? It's not multiple words, right? It's one single word. Whether it's plural or dual or whatever, one single word. Al-madrasati, because of the ila. I saw the two cats, or I saw two cats. رأيت قطتين. رأيت قطتين. Why قطتين and not قطتان? Because the object, right? And the object is always mansub, and the dual is mansub with ya. Al-muallimun mujtahidun. The male teachers are hard working. Why muallimun and not muallimin? Subject. Mujtahidun and not mujtahidin? Khabar, right? The information of the subject. The two books are new. Al-kitabani jadidani. The two books are new. Okay. So we're going to pause here, inshallah ta'ala. Any questions? Make sure to review it and keep reviewing it. And the grammatical state or the part of speech or the figure of speech, not the figure of speech, sorry, the part of speech or the grammatical component of the sentence, the state of it is always fixed. The doer is always going to be marfu. The khabar is always going to be marfu. The mubtada is always going to be marfu. Right? So you learn what is marfu, learn what is always mansub. We didn't do much with mansub, but they're more mansub than mansubat than majrurat. They're more marfu'at. There are more things that are mansub than that which is marfu. Yeah, and the mansubat is the biggest. As we come across them, inshallah ta'ala, we're going to point them out. If there's no question, we're going to end here, inshallah ta'ala, the next class in 5 minutes. Go ahead. Majzoom. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك ونشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت ونستغفرك ونتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. وعليكم السلام.